One of the most important things you can do within a Khan Academy classroom is one-on-one coaching and mentoring with your students. And this is a little unique. As a quick recap, in a traditional classroom setting, you would have a number of students here. And it would be very difficult to spend really focused time with any one particular student because you would always have the question of what would I do with all of the other students within the class? Now, in a Khan Academy classroom, you can identify the students that have mastered specific topics and the students that may need help, and you can pair them up. So you could facilitate peer-to-peer tutoring within the classroom, or for the other students, you may ask them to work on their individualized goals. So in a prior session, a prior one-on-one session with them, you may have identified videos and exercises for them to work on, and you can rest assured that these students are working on individualized goals that are appropriate for their skill level. So in a Khan Academy classroom, there are ways to keep all 30 students or all the full classroom engaged on material that is at the appropriate level for them, while you spend some one-on-one quality time with a specific student. Now, that's not to say that these type of one-on-one sessions should only occur during classroom time. If you do have the ability during after school hours or during study hall to have one-on-one sessions with student, that would obviously be better because then you can focus on that particular student without really worrying about how to keep the other student engaged in meaningful and productive ways. But what is unique about this Khan Academy model is you can have these sessions, you can facilitate these type of one-on-one coaching sessions with students, and actually our entire model is built around it to a certain extent. We really are trying to promote the individualized learning for students, but we realize that's not just about self-paced with the student themselves. It's actually about the guidance that a teacher or parent can provide to those students. So we've built a lot of the dashboards to help facilitate these conversations. And what some of our teachers have told us is that this has been one of the most critical elements of the model. They actually spend at least one they actually have at least one-on-one session with every student in the class one time a week, and during those sessions they provide guidance on what that student should work on. They provide the homework for them to work on over the course of this next week, and they review the progress that that student has made. So we have found from teachers that this is one of the most important elements in the model. So just to break it down, there's a couple of things that you can do when you're having these one-on-one sessions with your students. You can either have personalized goal setting, where you talk to that student about what their individual goals should be over this next week, or you can have individualized instruction, where you pick a topic that that student needs help on, and really provide direct instruction and guidance to the student. So let's talk about each one of these really quickly. On the personalized goal setting, we have built a number of dashboards to help facilitate this. So when you have that one-on-one session with the student, you can pull up that dashboard. So let's see what an example dashboard could look like. This is an example of the exercise progress dashboard. And you can look at this and see what exercises the student has mastered and which ones are they working on and which ones they're struggling on. And through this have a conversation about what is the appropriate area for them to work on given all the progress that they've made so far. So this is the place where you can focus the student, make sure they've really mastered all the grade level concepts and are really not just jumping around to various topics, but working on the areas that would be the most meaningful for them. And what some of the teachers have done is started to log these on a goal card. So that can be in a notebook or index card, and may look something like this. And this is just an example, but it could have what videos the student should work on over the course of this next week, what exercises they should master, how much time they should spend, and you would track a running list of these goals. And in this case, we're actually doing it weekly. So what were the goals for this past week, and what are the goals for this next week? But this frame may vary. If you're only meeting the students every 2 weeks or monthly or daily even, you would set this time frame appropriately, and just log what those goals are for the student. And when you have these sessions, what you would do is first look at this last week and check via the dashboard whether the student has truly accomplished those goals. So you could pull up the board and see that the student has done the exercise on linear equations. You can look at the activity log and see that the student, whether or not the student has watched the videos, and how much time they've spent. This is just sample data. This is actually over the summer, so I'm surprised the student is working at all. But in a real day, in real classroom situation, these reports will be very clear and help you figure out whether the student is spending their time on the right things. So you can review these last week's goals and see whether the students actually met their target. And the other thing to do is talk about what the target should be for this next week. So this is where you give the homework over the course of the next week, or all the activities that the student should focus on. And an important thing to do here that the teachers have come up with is have the students take ownership of their own learning. So have the students come up with what they think the goals should be based on the data and reading the dashboards, and then have that conversation and jointly set what these targets should be. So that's important because, one, it helps the student really understand the reports and the data and that they're looking, and how that should be used for their own learning. It helps the student take control of their own learning and give them a little bit more ownership. And it's a way for the teacher to establish what the homework and the expectations are over a longer period of time. So the teacher no longer needs to worry about what the homework is on Monday night versus Wednesday night, and you can actually set longer term goals for the students. Now, the second part of what you can do during these one-on-one sessions is individualized instruction. So if you look at that dashboard again, you may see one area where the student is really struggling. For example, here the student was struggling on percentage word problems number 2. So if we double click on that, we can see all of their recent activity. So you can see here the student really did try a lot of problems, get them wrong, use the hints for them. The student has watched the videos with that little video icon here. You can see they watched at least a couple of the minutes of the videos, and they started to understand the concept, but they still got a few wrong here. So in this case, you may double click on this and see if you can actually look at these problems itself and work it out with the student. So maybe you sit with the student, see what they try to do, and work it out with them and show them how to solve these problems. Or you may go back and just jump into direct instruction on that concept. Maybe you look at the student and see that they really need to understand percentages better, so you would take some of your materials that you've used in the past on how to teach percents and walk the student through that. If this is the only student who's struggling on that concept, you can do that during these one-on-one sessions and that direct tutoring time. If you do see a number of students are struggling on it, it may make more sense to pull out the whole group together and have that directed instruction. But in any case, these one-on-one sessions are important for both of these, for helping the students focus on what they should be working on, and having that goal setting conversation, and for the teacher to provide direct instruction to the student on the areas that they most need it.